Hello! Today we have the pleasure of welcoming Vow Green Metals, represented by their CEO, Cecilie Jonassen, and CFO, Lars Mårdalen. I will leave the presentation to you first. Cecilie, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today presenting Vow Green Metals' first half-year report. We are building a new biocarbon and bioenergy industry. First, a bit about what we do and who we are. As I started, we are building a new industry and we have a solution to help with several of the challenges that we're facing today. We will be an important part of the circular economy, recycling biomass waste streams into biocarbon that can decarbonize the metallurgical industry, also making a climate-neutral gas that can replace fossil energy sources. We build, own and operate. When we're doing the biomass waste streams into biocarbon and climate-neutral gas, we also have a very competent team in place to do this. And together with Vow and their 180 plus project resources and technology competence, this means that we are able to scale up fast. And since we're now building our first biocarbon facility, we also have been building up our first our factory model. And this factory model actually is already in use in several feasibilities. But to give a better look at what we do and trying to place those complicated words into a system. Being a part of a circular economy means that we take waste streams and we give them new value. These waste streams are incinerated today. But with Vow Green Metals and pyrolysis, we make biocarbon that can help the metallurgical industry decarbonize by substituting their use of fossil coal. And several of the metallurgical industries, they need to use carbon. They can't use other sources. Also, we will make climate neutral gas, and that climate neutral gas can also replace fossil energy sources. I'll give the floor to Lars, and he will present some of our financials. So please, Lars.
Thank you. As Cecilie just mentioned, the business concept of Vow Green Metals is to build, own and operate factories for biocarbon production and CO2 neutral gas production. We are currently in the build phase, which are reflected in the second half financials. We recorded a loss of 9 million. There are several non-reoccurring expenses included in the 9 million, such as listing expenses for the company on the Euronext Growth, legal expenses, and also some other expenses which are non-reoccurring. In addition to that, we have, of course, salaries and other operating expenses, also related to the startup expenses for the company, and some HR expenses and other operating expenses. Back in October, we ordered the process equipment for the Follum plant of 74 million. Which are reflected in the non-current assets. And we have also recorded 1 million which are the IP right of the factory module, which we will use on Follum and also on future projects, which Cecilie will come back to in a while. Cash position year-end 2021 was 68 million after the ordering of the process equipment, and together with the Enova grant, the Follum plant is fully financed. Thank you, Cecilie.
Let me take you to some of the market drivers that we see. There is a changing world out there, but we see that we have a place in this and there is a search for our products. I already showed you our place in the circular economy. The need to recycle materials and make them into new materials is important going forward. Also, we see an industry pushing for decarbonization. Several wanting to replace their fossil energy sources and also their fossil materials with bio-based materials. And policies and regulations are in place to make this in a sustainable way. The economic realities show that there is a rapid change when we are going forward. It's been changing over the last year quite a bit. I'll come back to that in a slide. But I think also Larry Fink sums it up quite good. Decarbonize or die. We need to change and we need to do it fast. Some of the things that has happened in the last year is the quota prices. The CO2 quota price has been rocketing, and it shows how fast we are changing, and everything is changing at the moment. In addition to that, also the raw materials used in several industries has been changing, and the prices has been increasing. You see a rising price in metallurgical coal, but also a very clear energy crisis facing us now. And in this unstable environment, it's really important that we take into use new renewable energy sources. I'll give you an update on what we're doing now and also the future. We are building our first plant, and that plant will have a capacity of 10,000 tons of biocarbon. In 2021, the metallurgical industry in Europe used 56 million tons of fossil carbon. So there is a huge market out there, and we are, with these 10,000 tons, we're going to be the largest producer of a bio-based alternative. In this project, we have several important partners in place. I've already mentioned Vow, but in addition to that, of course, Lindum, which is delivering feedstock, but also Elkem and Vardar, which will be off-takers of energy, and biocarbon is very valuable for us. When we're doing this, we are also making a factory model, and this factory model is an important part of the company because it enables us to look at several new sites and evaluate them quite quick. So the factory model is actually a complete setup of the Follum plant, and it includes all the core technology needed to produce biocarbon and pyrolysis gas. And we are using that when we're looking into new projects. A couple of weeks ago, we signed an LOI with a global non-ferrous producer. They came to us and said that we need to decarbonize. We actually ended up having a meeting with their CTO on their request because they needed to show that we are into this, we are going to do this, and there's a potential 50,000 tons in this cooperation. In addition to that, we're also screening new potential sites using that biocarbon facility and the factory model. We are able to do this very fast. On the right-hand side, there is an example from Europe. It's a pulp and paper plant. I'm coming from the pulp and paper industry, so this is really exciting for me to see how we can integrate a new industry into an existing one and helping them decarbonize. So actually, if we build a 50,000 tons plant, a biocarbon plant, we will also produce 300 gigawatt hours of pyrolysis gas. That pulp and paper plant is today using 800 gigawatt hours of fossil energy. That means that we can replace parts of that with climate neutral gas, helping them and enabling them to decarbonize. But a couple of weeks ago, also a very exciting news from last week, actually, from Vow came in. The second largest gas distributor in Europe announced their work with Vow. That is actually enabling the use of pyrolysis gas and injection to the grid. That means that a Vow Green Metals plant can produce pyrolysis gas and help everybody decarbonize. It is also helping us to accelerate our growth because we can place our mills several places and also be close to feedstock, but also look at the optimal logistics setups for our plant. And just to give you a number of how huge this is, GRT Gas is planning for 6 terawatt hours of pyrogas-based gas into the grid in 2030. That means almost 30 of those plants that I showed you on this previous slide. It's a huge number. To sum up, in 2021, we were listed on Euronext Growth with more than 6,000 shareholders. We ordered the equipment for our first plant, and we've been building an organization to enable fast growth. Our products are in demand, and we have the ambition to be the market leader acting now.
Thank you, Cecilia and Lars, for your presentation. I have some questions. You are now pioneering this biocarbon industry. What has been the response from your potential customers so far?
It's been as I said in the presentation, we're being approached by several that need that product, and we are the first movers in this. With that first facility of 10,000 tons of biocarbon, we will be the largest producer of that product in Europe. So it's been quite a nice response to us announcing that plant.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And as you also mentioned in your presentation, the Follum facility is also developing a factory model, and we can maybe see you scaling up and rolling out new factories in the years to come. But what do you see as the most feasible locations for these new plants?
It's where the feedstock is, and demolition wood and wood waste, it's where people live. So Europe, but also Europe because of the natural gas consumption and the possibility to replace that with climate neutral gas.
Right, and you will use waste streams as the feedstock for your production, and also then contributing to the circular economy. What do you see as the trends in circular economy and with regards to the material recycling going forward?
When it's rising, and the demand, also the regulations are getting in place. Today, only 10% of the wood waste in Norway is being recycled. And the requirement for that in 2025 will be 25%. And then you need several new processes to be able to do that. And we are one of them.
Right, and it's not so long time to 2025.
No.
And besides using biocarbon as a decarbonizing product, you are also producing climate neutral syngas. Could you tell us more about the opportunity that lies here, also when injecting it into the grid together with GRT gas in France? What does this mean for your business model?
Of course, that means that we can build up faster and also but place the factories where the feedstock is and a good logistic setup. So it's enabling us to do that. And of course, then it's reduced dependency on a partner and offtake because it's the grid and it's almost limitless.
Yeah. Provides flexibility. Yeah. And when looking at the biocarbon that will decarbonize these hard-to-abate industries, there's also a lot of other technologies that tries to decarbonize heavy industries, like, for instance, carbon capture and hydrogen. Is this a threat? Is this competing with biocarbon and might stealing market share? What do you think?
Actually, I mean, biocarbon used in several metallurgical industries is the only option. They need carbon in that production. That means that you can't use hydrogen. And I think that carbon capture and storage is going to be important anyway. So even if it's biogenic or fossil.
Yeah, so actually synergies together with the biocarbon. That's very exciting. And you are now currently conducting a feasibility study together with Vow and an undisclosed partner for this 50 kiloton facility that might be up and running by 2025. What is your contribution into this joint feasibility study?
We are, of course, the biocarbon producer and the pyrolysis gas producer, so we are the ones leading that part from our side. The partner, of course, having some requirements. But in addition to that, we are the ones with the business model and the setup, and we are Vow is providing the technology and project for the process, but building a mill or a factory is a bit more than that. So we are putting in that competence too.
Right. And moreover, on this 50 kiloton facility, it's 5 times the size of the Fulham facility. What options do you consider in order to finance this facility?
I think that first of all, sound projects will have several avenues for financing. As you mentioned, of course, and what we have told in the presentation as well, the business concept is to build, own and operate, and the own part of it, of course, we could partner up. That's one avenue. And of course, regular debt, and we can look at green financing through also on the more regular debt part of it, but also on the bond sides.
Yeah. And last Friday, you just released your first annual semi-annual report, and we could see operating loss of about 9 million kroners. How do you see the cash burn developing going forward?
As you mentioned, for the second half 2021, we recorded a loss of 9 million. And also said in the presentation, we had a lot of non-reoccurring expenses such as listing and other expenses. Also mentioned in the presentation, we have built an organization to accelerate the growth. So that will, of course, add to the cash burn for the company. Some of that will be activated because they are used on Follum and other projects. Without the activation, it would be roughly 10 million, give or take. But parts of it will also be activated on the balance sheet for Follum and other projects.
You are doing, as I said, pioneering work, and with that comes the first mover's advantage, but also some risks. What do you consider the biggest opportunities, and what do you consider the risks of being a first mover?
I think it's sometimes it's almost both. I think the biggest risk, but not just for us, but for everybody, is not doing it fast enough. So picking up speed is essential. That is probably what I see that can be the biggest risk, is not thinking that we need to speed up, but also having the mission to speed up. And for the opportunities, it's almost the same. And it is an opportunity. We see the search for our products and also all the regulations in place. So it's a huge opportunity. And of course, when you are the first mover, you have that advantage because you kind of will always be the first ones having that product available. So it feels like it's almost both speed up. Having speed is probably the highest risk, not speeding up fast enough.
Great to hear that you're in high speed and really are capitalizing on trends and looking to scale up. What is at the top of the agenda for Vow Green Metals just in the near future?
Establishing more plants, looking at more sites and starting new projects.
Right. So exciting to hear, and thank you so much, Cecilie and Lars, for coming here at Pareto and having a presentation and Q&A. Looking forward to seeing you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.